Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today our lesson is Women's Rights in Islam. Islam has an extensive tradition of protecting the civil liberties of women based on the guidelines set forth by God and His Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Women are empowered with many rights and protection under Islamic law and are honored with a dignified stature in society. Oppressed, inferior, and unequal for many people. These are the first words that comes to mind when thinking about women in Islam. These stereotypes confuse Islam with culture practices and fail to recognize that Islam has empowered women with the most progressive rights since the 7th century. In Islam, women are not inferior or unequal to men. This brochure presents the actual teaching of Islam regarding the rights, roles, and responsibility of women with a special focus on gender equality in Islam. At a time when female children were buried alive in Arabia and women were considered transferable property, Islam honored women in society by elevating them and protecting them with the unprecedented rights. Islam gave women the rights to education, to marry someone of their choice, to retain their identity after marriage, to divorce, to work, to own and sell property, to seek protection by the law, to vote, and to participate in civic and political engagement. In 610 CE, God began to reveal the message of Islam to Prophet Muhammad in Mecca. Muhammad called people toward the belief in one God and encouraged them to be just and merciful to one another. In reforming the pagan Arab society, he particularly transformed their mindset regarding the treatment of women. Islam abolished the practice of killing female children and raised the stature of women in society to one of dignity, esteem, and privilege. God devotes an entire chapter of Quran, also spelled Quran, the holy book of Islam, to women. In addition, God directly addresses women repeatedly throughout the Quran. Islam proclaims that all human beings, men and women, are born in a pure state. The goal of every Muslim is to preserve this purity by shunning evil tendencies and beautifying their inner being with virtuous traits. Islam further confirms that both men and women are equal in the sight of God. In the Quran, God declares, "Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you." At another place in the Quran, God clearly states that all humans are equal to whoever, male or female, does good deeds and has faith. We shall give a good life and reward them according to the best of their actions. Al-Quran. While Islam clearly established that men and women are equal, it does recognize that they are not identical. God created men and women with unique psychological and physiological and psychological attributes. In Islam, these differences are embraced as vital components to healthy family and community structure, with each individual contributing their own distinctive talents to society. Hence, God's rules apply to both genders, but in diverse way. For example, God commands women to cover certain parts of their body, including their hair, to preserve their modesty. Men are also required to cover parts of their body out of modesty, but not in the same way as women. Therefore, God commanded both men and women to be modest, yet the manner in which they observe it is different. Similarly, the rights, roles, and responsibility of women are evenly balanced with those of men, but are not necessarily the same. As granted individual Islam has granted individual identity